You're too boring to ever leave me, my boyfriend smirked. I packed in silence, left a sticky note saying plot twist, and blocked him everywhere. Weeks later, he was crying outside my office like a Netflix extra. My name's Leah, 28, female, and the last words my boyfriend ever said to me while smirking across our messy little apartment were, "You're too boring to ever leave me." That sentence has been looping in my head like a bad ringtone ever since. It wasn't just what he said, it was how he said it. Like I was this predictable, colorless accessory he could keep around forever. Safe, reliable, too spineless to walk away. His name is Matt, 30, male. We'd been together for almost 4 years. When we met, he was charming in this effortless way that felt magnetic. He knew all the right jokes, always had a story that made him sound larger than life. At the time, I was the quiet one, the listener. And for a while, I liked that balance. I felt seen when he pulled me into his orbit. But somewhere along the line, his confidence turned into cruelty. The little jabs started, calling me a grandma when I stayed in, making fun of how I double-checked the locks before bed, mocking my boring desk job when he was between freelance gigs. At first, I brushed it off. That's just Matt. He teases. But teasing turned sharper, more public. He'd roll his eyes at me in front of friends, cut me off mid-story, joke that I'd never survive a day without him. The worst part? I believed him. That's the hook he had in me. I started to feel like maybe I really was boring. Too practical, too soft. Like if he left, no one else would ever want me. That's the kind of poison he fed me daily. But when he smirked that night, beer in hand, leaning against the counter with his stupid cocky grin, and said, "You're too boring to ever leave me," something inside me cracked. Not dramatically, not with yelling or tears, just a quiet, steady breaking. I didn't argue. Didn't give him the fight he was itching for. Instead, I excused myself, went into the bedroom, and pulled out a suitcase. The act felt surreal, like I was watching someone else move. Folding jeans, rolling up t-shirts, grabbing my toothbrush. My hands shook, but I didn't stop. When the bag was zipped, I wrote 2 words on a neon pink sticky note, "Plot twist," and slapped it on the fridge. No speech, no dramatic exit line, just silence. And then I left. That night, I blocked his number, his socials, everything. Gone. For the first time in years, I felt light. Terrified, but light. I thought that was the end. It should have been. But a few weeks later, Matt showed up outside my office, crying like a Netflix extra in some melodrama. And that's when the real chaos began. When I tell people I left Matt with just a sticky note, they always assume it came out of nowhere. Like I woke up one day, got brave, and bolted. But the truth is, leaving him wasn't a single moment. It was thousands of little moments stacked on top of each other until the weight finally crushed me. Matt wasn't always the smirking villain standing in my kitchen. There was a time he was attentive, funny, the kind of guy who could talk to a stranger in line at the grocery store and walk away with a dinner invite. People adored him. And when he picked me, God, it felt like winning the lottery. Our early days were dizzying. Late-night drives with blasting music, spontaneous trips, drunk dancing in our crappy one-bedroom apartment. He had this way of making me feel alive, like my safe, quiet life was finally bursting into color. That's the hook, isn't it? They make you feel like you're stepping into a movie, and by the time you realize it's a horror film, the doors are locked. Things shifted slowly. I can't even pinpoint when. Maybe it was the first time he joked about my job being soulless. Or when he started calling me predictable Leah in front of friends. Maybe it was the time I baked him a cake for his birthday, and he laughed, saying, "You really think candles and sprinkles make you special?" The cruelest part was how he sprinkled in just enough sweetness to keep me doubting myself. If I pulled back, he'd suddenly plan a date night, or hold me when I cried after work. He never let the mask slip long enough for me to fully walk away. Looking back, I see how carefully he built the cage. He didn't scream, he didn't hit. He used charm, sarcasm, and just enough affection to keep me tethered. And he'd whisper those poisoned little lines, "No one else will love you like I do. You'd be lost without me. You're too safe, too boring, too ordinary." Over time, I started to believe him. That night with the sticky note wasn't a spur-of-the-moment rebellion. It was me finally realizing that maybe boring was survival. Predictable meant stable. Safe meant sane. I stayed at a friend's place for a while, then signed a lease on a tiny studio across town. Nothing fancy, just a space that was mine. No snide remarks, no slammed doors, no walking on eggshells. Just peace. The first week was strange. I kept expecting my phone to light up with his name, demanding answers, but it didn't. He was quiet, which was scarier, because silence with Matt was never peace. Silence meant he was plotting. And weeks later, when he showed up outside my office with tears streaking down his face, I knew the storm was finally here. The first time I saw Matt outside my office, I almost didn't recognize him. His cocky grin was gone, replaced with blotchy skin, puffy eyes, and this trembling jaw that made him look like a kid who'd lost his mom in the grocery store. He was standing right by the glass doors of the building, hands stuffed in his hoodie, pacing like he was auditioning for some Netflix breakup special. And when he spotted me, he just broke, actual tears running down his face. "Leah, please, you can't just do this. Please talk to me." I froze. My body went cold, like my bones knew better than my brain. A coworker, Sarah, 32 female, happened to be leaving with me, and thank God for her. She instantly stepped closer, gave me that silent "want me to stay?" look, and I nodded. Matt noticed her, and his face twisted. "What? You need a babysitter now? You can't even look at me without an audience?" That flash of anger, it was the Matt I knew. That razor edge hiding under every tear. I told him I didn't want to talk, that he needed to leave. My voice was calm, rehearsed, like I'd been preparing for this exact scene in my head. And that's when he lost it. He slammed his fist against the glass door so hard everyone in the lobby jumped. "You think you can just erase me with a sticky note?" His voice echoed, raw, unhinged. Security rushed over, and for a second I thought they'd have to drag him out. But he backed away, hands raised, tears still streaming. "I love you, Leah. Please, don't do this." Then he turned and stormed off. I thought that was the end of it, just a dramatic meltdown. But it was only the beginning. The next morning, I found a crumpled envelope shoved under my apartment door. Inside were photos, printed ones, not just screenshots. Pictures of me leaving work, walking to my car, grabbing groceries. Every photo was marked with a red heart drawn in pen. My stomach dropped. He'd been following me. That weekend, I came home to find my doormat shredded, like he'd taken a knife to it. On the door, written in chalk, was a single word: boring. I stood there, staring, my keys shaking in my hand. This wasn't heartbreak anymore. This was obsession. I reported it to my landlord, who shrugged and said, "Exes, huh?" Like I'd told him a raccoon tipped my trash can. I filed a police report, but they gave me the same rehearsed speech. Unless he threatens you directly or causes serious damage, there's not much we can do. So I bought a new lock, installed a cheap security camera, tried to convince myself he'd burn out and move on. But then came Monday morning, when I found Matt waiting again, this time across the street from my office, just sitting on the curb, staring at me. And the worst part? He wasn't crying anymore. He was smiling, like he knew something I didn't. Seeing Matt sitting across the street from my office with that smile, it was worse than the crying. Tears meant desperation. The smile meant calculation. I started carrying pepper spray in my bag, walked coworkers to their cars, double-checked locks, but Matt was like a ghost, slipping in and out of my life where I couldn't control it. One night, I came home to find the windows of my car smeared with ketchup. Not broken, just messy, childish. But taped to the windshield wiper was a Polaroid of me asleep in my bed. My stomach flipped. He had been inside. I tore through my apartment in a panic, checking closets, under the bed, even the shower like some cliché horror movie girl. Everything looked untouched, but my jewelry box was flipped open and my favorite silver necklace was gone. The police shrugged again. No forced entry, no witnesses, no proof it's him. They suggested I stay somewhere safe. I wanted to scream. My own apartment was supposed to be safe. That night, Sarah, 32, female, my coworker who'd stood up for me, let me crash at her place. Over takeout Chinese, she said the thing that had been simmering in the back of my mind: "Leah, this guy doesn't stop until you make him stop." I laughed bitterly. "You mean kill him?" "No, I mean, show him you're not boring." And that's when the idea began to form. But before I could even sketch out a plan, Matt forced my hand. 2 days later, my boss called me into his office. He looked uncomfortable, like he didn't know how to phrase it. Leah, did you and your boyfriend have some kind of falling out? I froze. Why? He sighed, turned his monitor toward me. My stomach dropped. Someone, Matt, had emailed HR from a fake account, claiming I was stealing office supplies, clocking out early, and flirting with married coworkers. Attached were grainy photos of me leaving the office, edited to look suspicious. It was laughable, but the fact he'd dragged my job into this? That was a new line crossed. I walked out of the office that day shaking, but not with fear this time. With fury. I was done waiting for Matt to burn out, done hoping the cops or HR or fate would handle it. He wanted me to be boring, predictable, safe. I decided I'd give him the opposite. Update. Wow, I didn't expect this to blow up the way it did. Honestly, I was terrified to even hit post the first time. Thought people would just say I was being dramatic, or worse, that I was boring like Matt always told me. But instead, I've been sitting here scrolling through hundreds of comments, DMs, even some long essays from people who've been through eerily similar crap. First off, thank you. Seriously. Some of y'all were hilarious. Girl, replace the sticky note with a restraining order. Some of you made me cry with kindness, and a few of you scared the hell out of me with your own horror stories. One person wrote, "Men like Matt don't move on. They escalate until you show them consequences." That one's been stuck in my head ever since. So, here's the latest. Remember how I thought Matt was just lurking, crying, being dramatic? Yeah, no, he went nuclear. He broke into my apartment while I was gone. I know it was him because a necklace my mom gave me is missing. And then he tried to sabotage my job. HR called me in because someone, wonder who, sent fake emails about me stealing and flirting with married coworkers. He even attached doctored photos of me leaving the office, like I'm starring in some low-budget spy thriller. That was my breaking point. Because here's the thing. I've been reacting this whole time. Moving, blocking, hiding, reporting, playing defense while Matt writes the script. But sitting in that HR office, staring at those stupid fake photos, something shifted. I realized I don't want to just survive this. I want to take the pen out of his hand and flip the script. A lot of you said I should burn his life down. Metaphorically, obviously. Some said expose him. Some said play mind games. A few said go full revenge movie heroine. And while I'm not about to land myself in jail, I'll admit, the idea of giving Matt a taste of his own chaos feels like oxygen right now. So here's where I'm at. I've started documenting everything. Photos, screenshots, dates, times. I've also been, let's just say, setting up a little stage for him to walk onto without realizing it. He thinks he's clever, but he's predictable. He always wants to make a scene. And I've got a plan that's going to use that against him. To the commenter who said, "Show him you're not boring, make him choke on it." You don't even know how much you just foreshadowed. I'll update when things play out. It won't be long. Matt's already circling closer, and for once, I'm not running. I'm waiting. After the HR stunt, I knew Matt wouldn't stop until he got the public drama he craved. That was his drug, an audience. He'd always been the guy who needed eyes on him, whether it was telling some overblown story at a bar or mocking me in front of friends. Alone, he was weak. In front of people, he thought he was invincible. So I gave him people. Our office has this little cafe across the street, a popular spot where half the staff goes for lunch. Bright windows, outdoor tables, always a steady crowd. I started going there at the same time every day, sitting by the window where I knew Matt could see me if he was lurking. I didn't have to wait long. By the fourth day, there he was, standing across the street, pacing, watching. My heart hammered, but I forced myself to stay calm, sipping my coffee, pretending to scroll my phone. Sarah was with me, pretending to talk about weekend plans, but really keeping her phone recording under the table. Matt crossed the street. Loud footsteps, wild eyes, hair a mess. He slammed his hands on the table, making my cup jump. "You think you can just erase me, Leah? With a sticky note? With blocking me?" His voice cracked, but he was practically shouting. Everyone in the cafe turned to look. I leaned back, kept my tone even. "Matt, you need to leave. You're embarrassing yourself. His face twisted red. Embarrassing myself? You're nothing without me. You're boring, a nobody. Who's gonna want you when I'm done? That's when I pulled out my phone and hit play. His voice filled the cafe, a recording I'd saved from a voicemail he left at 3 a.m. a week earlier, slurred and venomous. I swear to God, Leah, if you don't talk to me, I'll make your life hell. I'll ruin your job. I'll ruin everything. You'll regret walking away from me. The cafe went silent. Matt froze. His mouth opened, but no words came out. I set the phone down on the table, loud enough for everyone to hear. You heard him. This is the guy crying outside my office. The guy breaking into my apartment. The guy stalking me. Everyone, meet Matt. Phones came out. People were filming. Someone whispered, "Holy shit." Matt's face crumpled. Anger, panic, shame all colliding. He stammered, "She's lying. She's—" But the recording was still playing, his own voice damning him. Security from the cafe stepped in, told him to leave. He tried to push back, but a couple of guys stood up from their tables, ready to escort him out if he didn't. He ended up storming out, slamming the door so hard the glass rattled. I sat there shaking, adrenaline buzzing through my veins. For the first time, he wasn't the one controlling the scene. I was. And here's the best part. Sarah sent the video straight to HR. They forwarded it to legal. The same company Matt had tried to smear me in? Now they had him on record threatening an employee. It wasn't the end, not yet, but it was the first time I saw real fear in his eyes. Because for once, he was the one who looked boring, predictable, small. After the cafe, I thought maybe, just maybe, that would be enough. That having a room full of strangers hear his threats and see him reduced to a sobbing, sputtering mess would finally break his obsession. I was wrong. Humiliation only made Matt more dangerous. 3 nights later, I came home to find my apartment door pried open. My stomach dropped. I froze in the hallway, heart pounding, but forced myself inside. Everything was wrecked. My couch cushions gutted, clothes shredded, framed photos smashed on the floor. But what made my blood run cold was the sticky note stuck to my bathroom mirror. My handwriting. He'd stolen one from the pad I'd left behind in our old apartment. On it, he'd scrawled one word in Sharpie, twist, like he was trying to turn my joke back on me. I bolted, called the cops, shaking so hard I could barely hold my phone. They came, took a report, shook their heads. No cameras in the hallways, no witnesses, can't prove it was him. I wanted to scream. Who else would write that word on my sticky notepad? I spent that night at Sarah's again. She didn't even ask, just made up the couch and handed me a blanket. But lying there in the dark, listening to her apartment's old radiator clank, I couldn't stop replaying the wreckage in my head. He wanted me scared. He wanted me off balance, and worse, he wanted to make my plot twist into his. 2 days later, he showed up at my building. This time, he didn't cry or beg. He screamed. From the parking lot at the top of his lungs over and over, "Leah, you think you can erase me?" Neighbors came out. People recorded on their phones. He picked up a trash can and hurled it at the side of the building. It missed my window by inches, denting the metal siding. That was the night my landlord told me, "Maybe you should consider breaking your lease." As if moving again was a solution. But here's the thing. I wasn't scared anymore. Not really. I was furious. Matt wanted chaos? Fine. I'd give him chaos. Just not the kind he controlled. Because while he thought he was winning, Sarah and I had been busy. She'd already posted the cafe video to a private group for our office staff, which meant dozens of people had seen it. HR had looped in their legal team. And me? I'd been collecting everything. The photos, the voicemail, the vandalism, the sticky note on my mirror. I wasn't going to let this fade into another police shrug. I was going to make sure Matt became a walking cautionary tale. And the way things unfolded next? Let's just say it made the cafe look like rehearsal. Update 2. I swear, every time I think Matt has hit rock bottom, he finds a shovel. First, thank you again to everyone who's been following this saga. The last update blew up way bigger than I imagined, and reading through your comments has been the only thing keeping me sane. Some of y'all made me laugh when I really needed it. To the person who said, "Matt's just a discount joker without the makeup, chef's kiss." Others scared me straight with stories of how bad this can get if you don't fight back. And you were right. He escalated. Hard. 3 nights ago, I came home to my apartment trashed. Clothes shredded, photos smashed, sticky notes everywhere. He even stole one of mine, the same little neon pads I used to leave that plot twist note when I left him, and wrote twist in Sharpie across my bathroom mirror. Like he was trying to rewrite the story, make it his. Then, because apparently vandalism wasn't dramatic enough, he showed up screaming outside my building. Full volume, top of his lungs, hurling trash cans at the wall like some drunk WWE reject. Neighbors filmed, people called the cops. And when the police showed up, he bolted. No arrest, no consequences. Just another report filed. And my landlord told me maybe I should consider breaking my lease, like I'm the problem. That was the moment something in me snapped. Because here's the thing. Matt thinks he's writing this story. He thinks I'm still the boring, safe girl who'll just roll over and survive his tantrums. But what he doesn't realize is that every scream, every broken photo frame, every voicemail has been documented. Sarah, my coworker, the MVP of this whole mess, has been filming and archiving like she's prepping a Netflix docuseries. I've got everything. The cafe meltdown on video, his threatening voicemail, photos of the vandalism, neighbors' clips of him screaming outside my building. And thanks to Sarah, a neat little folder ready to be dropped in exactly the right place. And here's where it gets interesting. A few of you suggested going nuclear, not just police reports but exposure, making him choke on the same public humiliation he tried to bury me with. Let's just say, that's exactly where this is headed. Because Matt wanted an audience, I'm about to give him one. Stay tuned. The boring girl is about to flip the script for real. Matt always wanted to be the star of the show. What he didn't realize was that I'd stopped being his audience. After his trash can tantrum, word spread fast around my building. Tenants whispered. Neighbors glared at me in the hall like I was the problem for having a psycho ex. It stung, but I stayed quiet because I had something better brewing. Sarah helped me put everything together, a timeline, screenshots, video clips. She formatted it like a case file, dates, captions, cross-references, organized chaos. The kind of thing that could ruin a reputation in minutes if it hit the right inbox. And then Matt handed me the stage. One Friday night he showed up again, but this time not outside my apartment or office. He found me at the cafe. I'd been going there with Sarah on purpose, letting him think he'd corner me again. Sure enough, he stormed in, red-faced, hair wild, like a man unraveling in real time. "You think you won?" he bellowed, loud enough to make a baby at the next table start crying. "You think people are on your side?" People started filming instantly, phones out, eyes wide. He was giving me exactly what I wanted. I stayed seated, calm, hands folded. "Matt, you're making a scene. Again." That single word, again, sent him over the edge. He grabbed a chair, flung it against the wall. Plates shattered, people screamed. The cafe manager called 911 right there. And while Matt was busy self-destructing, Sarah slipped outside and started uploading. The folder, the recordings, the cafe meltdown video, everything. She sent it to HR, our company's Slack channel, even dropped it anonymously into the local neighborhood watch group on Facebook. By the time the cops arrived and dragged Matt out kicking and screaming, his meltdown was already circulating online. Not just him yelling, him threatening, him admitting in his voicemail that he'd ruin me, him hurling trash cans, him spray painting boring on my door. The internet didn't see a tragic ex-boyfriend. They saw a violent stalker unraveling in real time. By midnight, Matt's name was trending on our city's subreddit. Neighbors were sharing stories. Turns out, I wasn't the only woman he'd scared off. An old coworker chimed in with tales of his temper. One woman posted screenshots of him harassing her when she wouldn't date him. It was like watching a dam burst. Everything he'd hidden behind that cocky smile was spilling into the open. And the best part? I didn't have to scream. I didn't have to beg anyone to believe me. Matt did the work for me. By the next morning, Matt wasn't just my problem anymore. He was everybody's problem. The video of his cafe meltdown spread faster than I thought possible. Not just coworkers and neighbors, strangers were stitching it on TikTok. Local news blogs were writing about unhinged man harassing ex-girlfriend. And by noon, his name was everywhere. Clips of him screaming, "You'll regret walking away from me," were looping under headlines about stalking and domestic abuse red flags. Matt always wanted to be the center of attention. Congratulations, he got his wish. When the cops finally caught up with him, apparently he'd smashed his own hand punching a wall and went to urgent care, where someone recognized him. He was charged with harassment, vandalism, and disturbing the peace. The restraining order I'd begged for weeks earlier? Suddenly it went through in record time. Amazing how fast the system works once there's a viral video involved. HR at my company emailed me personally, not to question me this time, but to apologize for ever doubting me. They confirmed they'd blacklisted Matt from every future contract he'd been freelancing under. Sarah and I sat in her living room that night, eating popcorn straight from the bowl, watching comments pour in. People I'd never met were calling him pathetic, terrifying, unstable. The words he used to brand me, boring, safe, forgettable, were gone. And me? I was finally free. The best part came 2 weeks later. I was walking to work, earbuds in, coffee in hand, when I saw him. Matt, sitting on the courthouse steps after his arraignment, hair greasy, wrist wrapped in a bandage, shoulders slumped like someone deflated him. He looked up and locked eyes with me. And for once, there was no smirk, no smoldering anger, just nothing. I didn't stop. I didn't gloat. I just walked past, steady, calm. Because the truth is, I didn't need to say anything. He'd written his own ending. That night, back in my apartment, I pulled out a fresh sticky note. Same neon pink pad. I stuck it to my fridge and wrote in big, bold letters, "Free." And for the first time in years, that's exactly how I felt.